Big win for the U.S. women's national team Tuesday morning, and they didn't even have to step on the pitch. The U.S. Soccer Federation agreeing to pay the players $24 million in back pay. The federation also promising to equalize pay between the men's and women's national teams for all competitions, including the World Cup. The settlement contingent on the ratification of a new contract between U.S. Soccer and the Players Union for the women's team. Here's Megan Rapinoe reacting to the settlement on Tuesday's CBS Mornings.
It's a little bit surreal, to be honest. Obviously, we've been in this for a long time, and coming from a long history of women that have fought to put this sport in a better place. So, I think pride comes to mind. Just incredibly proud of the women on this team and all the women who this lawsuit represents. Our greater extended team. Obviously, we have lawyers and strategists and media people to help us. Everybody's been in our corner the entire time. I feel like the thing I look forward to and am really proud of is that the justice comes in the next generation, never having to go through what we went through. It's equal pay across the board from here on out, and I'm looking forward to continuing to grow the sport and to have this be a moment we look back on that signals a new U.S. soccer that we can all be extremely proud of.
And for more on this big settlement, we now welcome in Lisa Roman, co-host of the Attacking Third podcast, part of the CBS Sports podcasting network. Lisa, good morning. What does this settlement mean, not just for the women, but for U.S. soccer as a whole?
Good morning, Jeremy. As Megan Rapinoe said, it changes the future of soccer, especially in the United States for the U.S. Soccer Federation. Having equal pay moving forward just really levels the playing ground for both the U.S. men's national team and the U.S. women's national team. And it sets the precedent for how these women are going to be paid fairly, whether it's friendlies, tournaments, World Cup appearances. And it's not based on how many wins they get. It's just equal across the board. This is a huge, huge morning for U.S. Soccer Federation.
Yes, you guys are being pulled in all kinds of directions, getting asked for interviews today. What kind of a ripple effect could we see in terms of other women's leagues around the world, do you think?
I think the ripple effect is going to be huge. We're already seeing waves of it happening with forward for Washington Spirit, Trinity Rodman, signing a $1 million contract in the NWSL with that CBA. And now that it's happening at the U.S. Soccer Federation, the U.S. Soccer Federation is a federation that is looked upon as one of the best in the world. Looking just at the United States women's national team and their pedigree of success that they've achieved over the years, it sets the standard for the rest of the world, especially in CONCACAF. When you look at the U.S. compared to all of the other nations, even the Canadian Federation and their women's soccer team winning gold this past summer in the Olympics. Now that the United States is taking this step forward to have equal pay for their men's and women's side, that says so much about the future of the sport, which in turn, not just a ripple effect around the world of soccer, but down through the flanks of soccer, all the way to the youth programs, hoping to get more funding for youth players to be able to build themselves up to join the U.S. Soccer Federation at the top level.
Yeah, and you have some European countries and the likes of Australia who have also agreed to equal pay deals with their men's and women's teams. Okay, so this deal is contingent on a new collective bargaining agreement, but the Federation wants a joint deal, the men and the women together, not bargaining separately. So essentially, the men have to agree. Are you expecting those negotiations to be difficult or easy?
I don't think they will be easy. Look at the history of this plan that has already been passed today for the United States women's national team. This started 6 years ago. It hit the courts 3 years ago. And then here in 2022, they're finally able to settle on an agreement but it is still contingent upon a CBA. So now the conversation just opens up a lot more. But the fact that the conversation is being able to happen is a huge step forward. Now it's just a matter of who's willing to bend and compromise on certain points in a CBA in order to get it ratified. And as soon as the CBA is ratified, equal pay for all.
Lisa Roman, former defender at Marquette. She's the co-host of the Attacking Third podcast here on CBS Sports Network, joining us to discuss the settlement agreement between the U.S. women's national team and the U.S. Soccer Federation. Thanks, Lisa. Lisa and co-host Sandra Herrera will be discussing this topic at further length on their podcast and likely get input to give it even more perspective. Download and follow the Attacking Third podcast wherever you get your preferred podcast audio.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.